What's up YouTube, and thanks for tuning back into my channel. So in this video, as you can see, I want to kind of give you guys a rundown on how I got started in makeup and how I ended up transitioning into photography. So stay tuned. Alright y'all, so first off I want to say Happy New Year to everybody who's tuning in. We are in 2020, group of friends of mine, we have a little joke. January is gonna be a trial run for us. Like them old AOL CDs, a free 30-day trial. Because some of us are still detaching from some things that we didn't finish in 2019, but we're here, I'm here, you're here. So Happy New Year to all of you guys. So for those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Darrell Morgan and I'm a makeup artist and a beauty photographer. So I don't feel like I've ever really opened up and told my story about how I got started. So I felt like today would be the perfect day to kind of start off a new relationship with you guys. So I got my first camera when I worked at Circuit City. I was really young and it was probably like my 5th or 6th job because I always changed jobs. So I knew a lot about cameras from selling them. My first camera was a Sony A100, which I loved. So at the time, I didn't really know that people could be professional photographers, or that was something that people actually called their careers. During that time, America's Next Top Model was huge, and it was something that I watched all the time. So one of the first professional photographers I was exposed to was, of course, Nigel Barker. I just wanted to take pictures of my friends and my family in nature and building. So I didn't really know how to make it a career. I was also in college at the time. I was in school for business management, but one of my long-term dreams was to be a professional dancer. I've always wanted to dance with Janet Jackson. Anybody close to me knows that. That is just the reason why I danced and wanted to dance. And my life took an interesting turn because I started learning about the ballroom scene. For those of you who watch Pose, Pose is probably like the perfect, how can I put it? Experience to understand what the ballroom scene is. But season 1 is on Netflix, so tune into that if you want to get a little bit more understanding of that world and that community, because that's ultimately where I come from. I started walking balls right out of high school. It was a space for me to be creative, and ballroom was that arena for me to kind of be myself and just kind of practice. College was cool, but college wasn't for me. I really didn't like it, and I was working part-time at the Gap. And I remember doing a overnight, and one of the pictures in the Gap really caught my attention, and I was just sitting there and like, I wonder what it took to create this picture. The pose captivated me, the lighting, the makeup, which was super minimum, the hair, which was just kind of like fresh and edgy and kind of punk rockish, and I think that's why I like punk rock and grunge so much, because it was those influences. And I was just really curious. So I really started to pay attention to America's Next Top Model a little bit more in depth. And I kind of mocked some of those shoots, like with me and my friends and my camera. Then my curiosity for makeup came about because I didn't really want to spend all of that money on camera equipment. And again, I was like a teenager, so my money was going to other things. And so I got an interest in makeup. I ended up leaving the Gap, started working at Sephora. I was a seasonal cashier at Sephora. For me, it was like free practice, right? Because I'm around women all day, wanting to know about product, playing. Sephora for me was like the starting point other than the ballroom scene. And in ballroom, I walk runway. I'm a legend in that category, and balls have themes. Categories have themes. So a lot of the themes I were doing were coming from fashion references. So one of the first makeup artists who I was exposed to was Sutan from America's Next Top Model. And the second one was the mother herself, Pat McGrath. Now, I'll say this. Well, at that time, I was nowhere near the skill set, product knowledge, placement, any of that stuff that I was seeing Pat McGrath do. I was doing my best to emulate what I saw her in my runway looks. I was winning a lot. I'm not gonna say from the makeup, because some of the makeup I look back on and I'm like, oof. But I was using those references in my competition, and they just kind of went hand in hand, and they were so infused with each other. It was really a part of my aesthetic, and it drew my curiosity. Now, I'll be honest, when I started using makeup in my effects walking balls, it was like canned hairspray from Ricky's if I wanted to do like a full body something, or like Ben Nye pigments, or like a sponge, or sometimes even my finger, or like Halloween kits. So there was no big kit and caboodle. There was no like Fenty at the time. Like there was none of that. Like I was using like what I had access to because I was still really, really young. So in the midst of me walking balls, I met a friend who's still a really good friend of mine. His name is Timothy, who is a makeup artist. And he took me under his wing and taught me makeup. And one of the first books that I got, The Beauty of Iman. This was my go-to book for everything. To this day, I still use this book as a reference point. And that exposed me to Sam Fine and Frank Cooper and Jay Manuel, who actually did work for the book, and Kevin Aquan. So I really started understanding that, hey, this could be something that I could really live off of and be in for quite some time and have fun. Like photo shoots are extremely fun, and it reminded me so much of the creativity that I was using in the ballroom scene. So again, I was a seasonal cashier at Sephora, so that had come to an end, but luckily I got rehired and went to work in Jersey under Tim. And I stayed at Sephora for about 1.5 years, and it was time to move on. I got a better offer, and I've always been intrigued by MAC. At that time, MAC was like the brand to work for. They had the best product, the best employees, the best fashion, like the way that they dressed. And Sephora was fun, but you know, MAC just had that edge. And I got hired as a freelancer. I freelanced at MAC for literally 2 months and got offered to work permanently for them because they were opening a new store in Brooklyn. And I was a part of that first staff for the new store at Kings Plaza Mall. And I was one of the, well, actually, I was the only male makeup artist there. So there were only 2 guys in the store, me and the stock boy. And MAC was an amazing experience because it opened the world of editorials to me. Things that I was seeing from Top Model, full circle, came from things that I was seeing in MAC, meaning the campaigns that I was seeing at MAC. Those photo shoots were, you know, in the montage or in the feeling of what I saw on Top Model. So now all of this stuff was just rolling in my brain like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. And that also exposed me to more makeup artists, Val Garland, James Caliardos, Diane Kendall, Dick Page, Kabuki, Topolino, like the icons of editorial makeup that were just so versed. And again, I'm around their work every day because their pictures are in the store, on the light boxes and on the collections. So I was just constantly around inspiration. I was at MAC for 6 months, got promoted to be a manager and stayed with MAC for about 2 years or so. With that opening up my mind and understanding Fashion Week and you know, seminars and things of that nature, because MAC does allow you to get certified to do those type of jobs. I wanted to go and do those jobs without being attached to retail. And I left MAC. I wanted to get into agency work and assisting and, you know, really letting that creative thing flow. So this was my probably biggest mistake. I left a stable job to freelance with no savings, no nothing. The saving grace was, while I was with MAC, I did have my first apartment, and I knew that that wasn't gonna work out because there was something going on funny with the landlord. So I left this apartment, stayed with my mom, and then ended up leaving MAC. In doing so, I did have a client base, little $60, $70 faces from here to there, nothing to really live a sustainable life off of, but what I was doing was test shoots, right? So Model Mayhem was like the go-to. The holy grail for finding photographers, finding makeup artists, finding hairstylist models that were looking to build their portfolios. At the time, I knew nothing about getting an agency model, so Model Mayhem to me was my agency. That was something I used to kind of work with my teams. And it was fun because I networked a lot. I met a lot of people. Now, there were some things that I wish I never participated in. There were some shoots that just did not benefit my book. There were some shoots that never got published. This is kind of the side of the industry people don't really talk about. A lot of my time was wasted, but all of that time was a learning experience for me because I knew now what to look for, to stay away from, and just how to make sure that I got my work. If I'm devoting 6 to 7 hours on set, I should be able to get something back for my portfolio. So Model Mayhem was a huge blessing for me, and those experiences were huge for me. In leaving MAC, I got my website up within 6 months. I learned how to successfully email an agency to get professional models to do shoots. And because I was not getting my images back, I started doing my photography. Ding, ding, ding. So understanding what I wanted to capture really helped, because I wasn't getting it back from the shoots that I was doing. And when I was getting those images back, they weren't how I envisioned them. So that's how the two, for me, connected, doing my own makeup for my own shoots. So I started just freelancing. And of course, I didn't have a game plan. I didn't have a savings, and I was ready to move back out of my mom's house. So I went back to a counter job. I started working for Burberry Beauty and stayed with them for a little while. I left and became a manager for another cosmetic brand. Left and went on to work for NARS. Loved that experience because, again, it's that fashion, it's that editorial, it's fashion week. So there was so much that I was doing between Burberry and NARS at the time. And when I left NARS, I was doing a lot of advertising work. I was assisting a really close friend of mine who's a makeup artist as well. So I was doing a lot of work with him. And when I left NARS, I freelanced and worked for myself for 3 years. And I will say this, it was extremely hard. One of the most challenging things when you freelance and you're not with an agency, and I'm pretty sure even when you're with an agency, you have to constantly be on the grind. It's a constant nonstop for work, because you may have one job that is a $2,000 job 1 month and then not work for 3 months. So money management and financing and budgeting was something I learned the hard way. Now I will say this, I'm one of the fortunate people. I was never evicted from my apartment or, went through any of those type of mishaps, because I always knew how to stay with the job. Like, I went back to Mac just to freelance to have income when my freelance work wasn't really taking off. I got on the assistant roster for an agency and did some projects there. Not too many. A lot of the stuff that I was doing was on my own, but the cloudiness in my career per se, I didn't really have a clear focus. I was doing commercial, I was doing weddings, I was doing editorial. I was even teaching like seminars and stuff. And at the time, I didn't really know. You had to kind of zone in on one, and then the other ones just kind of, be your, I guess, your cushion points per se. But I was really just trying to be this supreme makeup artist and specialize in everything. And it kind of backfired. So I can say that I've had a really great career. I've done about 3 seasons of Fashion Week. I've had magazine work, I've had tear sheets, I've done TV, I have done advertising like I said before, and I've worked with celebrities. I've worked with Kerry Washington, Dawn Harper Nelson, Day 26, Rod Digga, Janae Aikio. So I'm extremely blessed and extremely thankful for my successes as well as my failures. And I think a lot of times everybody sees the success, but nobody sees the downfalls. And I just want to be vulnerable. I had messed up, which was one of the reasons why I pulled away, because there was so much I needed to refocus on and regroup to really come back and just do it better and do it the right way. I'm not really focusing on fashion and beauty anymore. I will always love submissions and, continue to do that from a photographer's perspective because I need to. But my focus in regards to makeup has definitely shifted towards TV and film. It's more character driven. It's a little bit more interesting because now I get to relearn the process all over again. So I'm really excited to start that journey, and that is my focus for 2020 as a makeup artist. As a photographer for 2020, I have set a goal to just constantly shoot beauty. Constantly shoot beauty, whether it be a cosmetic ad or jewelry, whatever, entails something really tight and, focused. That's what I need to be doing. So I thank you guys so much who have been a part of this journey, people I've collabed with, to all of the viewers and subscribers to this channel. Throughout my inconsistencies, you guys have been here, so I thank you for that, and I hope that you guys continue to be here. For all the new viewers, thank you for sticking this long video out. I'm pretty sure it was long. And if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe. There's gonna be more content. I'm making it my business to share as much knowledge as I can in 2020 because I have so much to talk about, so much that I wanna share. Tutorials, behind the scenes, like all of that type of stuff. And I just want everybody to remain positive, remain focused, and remain blessed. We made it to another year. I'm grateful, you should be grateful, and I can guarantee you that whatever situation you're in now, it is going to get better. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.